And for those of you who are joining us right now, time right now is 7:16. For anyone who needs to go around UCSD at all this morning, just know that you will likely run into a lot of traffic. That includes the 5 at Torrey Pines, the school warning people that this whole area, is full of law enforcement. Quite a few law enforcement vehicles obviously will be on the site there. And they're asking people who don't need to be there near campus to stay away. A lot of businesses right across from UCSD in the UTC area. Those will likely have some sort of impact. You're going to see a lot of backup here because this has been going on since about the 5 a.m. hour. Here we are now 7:16, and we're still seeing a lot of activity. So a heads up to any commuters this morning. Likely 5 Torrey Pines Road will be packed.
From UCSD saying non-essential employees should move to remote operations. Essential employees should report to work as usual. Instruction is moving to remote operation. All West Campus facilities are now closed. Housing and dining remains open. And all events scheduled for today on West Campus should be canceled, rescheduled, or moved remotely.
It's something that we've seen sort of develop here, and we don't know if this has been completely cleared out, though. You can see law enforcement is leaving the encampment now. As we zoom in there on that back wall, that left-hand video probably has that best picture here on the left side of your screen of what, again, what I'm trying to point out here is that it does appear the encampment has been cleared. Now, of course, we're going to wait for official confirmation before we declare that, but what it does look like is that law enforcement, as we go now to this full screen here, law enforcement was seen leaving, in fact, beginning to face the other way. And just, again, we have to wait for official confirmation and so forth, but it does appear that this has been cleared.
Yeah, and
reporter
Alex Lai has said that, yes, it looks like the encampment is clear of protesters for now. And it's, not certain what law enforcement's still doing there. Are they going to clear all of the materials that were left there in the encampment or not? Who might be removing that? That's likely at the request of the school, to clear the encampment. So at this point, who's in charge of doing that? But they did clear the protesters. Either they voluntarily left or many of them stood there until they were detained. And
we're going to go to another shot here. We're being told that there's been a large group that has now shown up in response to these arrests that have taken place. In fact, we're being told that these are supporters of the protesters who now, as you can see, sheriff's officers, I believe that's going to be UC police, have set up now their own wall, if you will, to make sure that these individuals do not infringe on the ongoing process that they have going on. It doesn't. Again, we don't know if that's something that they looked to do or if they're just here to vocalize their support. You can see some students as well as other individuals. You can see again we just lost that picture there. It's been, as we got it back here, it's been a little tricky here with service.
We saw this group initially begin to form about an hour ago. Basically what we saw was once police started to surround that encampment, there was another side of a viewing area basically where you could watch as those arrests were being, as those arrests started. And I know at least that person in scrubs has been there for an hour. We saw them about an hour ago when Alex Lai first got on scene. And now that group is steadily growing. So what you see there is essentially all the people who have noticed something happening on campus have been approaching the area. Police now have that area blocked off. So students and anyone who arrives in that area cannot enter close to where the encampment is. But it looks like now that they've cleared that encampment itself from people, they're now starting to approach in a line on the other side. And
our photographer, Julio, has been out there, incredible job out there dealing with all of this and bringing us that live look. We do want to go now to Julio himself to ask him what he's been seeing. This second group that just formed, Julio, what happened here? What have you noticed? And if you could tell us as well, what are they chanting?
They're chanting multiple different things, some against the police, some against the university, and so on. At about 5:30, I believe, everybody started yelling, "Wake up, wake up, wake up." And that's when, I guess, one of the protesters noticed the first presence of law enforcement, and everybody got up. It took me a second to see the law enforcement, but when I did see them, there was a large number. It was San Diego County Sheriff, CHP, University of California Police, and CHP Border Division, I believe. I would say a couple hundred officers at least. Very strategic, very organized. I was concerned that this could be a lot worse. Here they come. I'm going to turn my camera around because here comes some CHP officers. There is a protest on the walkway, and here come the university officers. Chanters saying peaceful protest.
And
Let's see
Julio,
where this line is held.
have the police called out any orders to this new group? Have they ordered them to disperse as well too?
I was next to the encampment. This is some of the group that was able to leave and not be arrested, and this is where they got together. And now they're being they're protesting, and I think law enforcement wants them to disperse.
Okay. And they're chanting peaceful protests, which we heard from Alex as well. They've been saying that over and over again throughout the morning. Julio, from your view, you've been there all morning. Has this been peaceful? Have you seen any clashes between the protesters and the police at all?
I personally have not seen any aggression from the protesters besides not following orders and leaving. Everybody was told leave multiple times, and they didn't, and I think that's what escalated the police activity. Now, I wasn't everywhere. To my knowledge, nobody's been hurt. There has been no tear gas, no live ammunition. Students and other people participating in here. Oh, here they go. They're moving the line.
Yeah, okay, Julio, yeah, it appears that law enforcement is going to physically try to get this group to disperse here. Did police just call something out there? Is that essentially what they're saying?
They just told to hold the line.
Hold the line. Okay. All right.
And it seems like they're gonna.
So we have about 30 seconds here before we have to go to break here. But this is all unfolding right now here in front of the Geisel Library. This formerly the encampment of pro-Palestinian protesters. That encampment has been cleared. We are going to stay on this picture because as that encampment has been cleared out, several of the protesters who were allowed to leave or who did leave on their own, and several supporters of those protesters have now formed, and we are seeing now a new large group here, seemingly coming toe-to-toe here with police who are saying that they are going to hold that line. So we are seeing them here toe-to-toe, if you will.
It was about 5:50 this morning where we heard police officers give about a 10-minute warning to those students saying that they were about to enter the encampment. At that time, we watched as several groups of students who were on the encampment walked away from it and they exited. Some students remained. The students that we saw who remained in the encampment are already in custody. They've been arrested and have been handcuffed or zip tied. The students that we now see, and just people in general that we now see with police there, are students that walked away from that encampment about an hour and a half ago and formed a new line just on the opposite side of that library.
Okay, here's a better vantage point here from one of our photographers. As again, we were behind the police. Now we're seeing again. This is a new group here. Several of them were in the encampment, we're being told, as being reported, but also some of them coming out here in support of the protesters that were in that encampment. And you can hear them again with those chants calling for peaceful protests, for them to be allowed to peacefully protest. And then you also heard law enforcement calling out, hold the line. So this is, again, two groups here, face to face here.
Face to face, so you see them quite close to each other. We've heard from the chancellor who wanted the encampment cleared. At this point, not certain what's going to happen with this group that is now forming in the walkway. This is Library Walk, as it's known, Geisel Library, right there along that walkway at the end of it. And that's where these people are standing and saying that, they're doing a peaceful protest. So we do want to